What's up, y'all? The Basketballists. This is episode 45. We are doing something a little different. You guys will see on YouTube. We are recording. I have Ralph here, aka TooReelRalph. He is a basketballist. We have him as a part of this group. We I haven't heard from Dev in a while, so hopefully he sees this and be like, "Yo, what's good with y'all?" But and then we have another basketballist, Nick Fenton, who I'm seeing later. But what's up, Ralph?
I'm good, man. Happy to be on. You've been pushing me to do this for a while, so I think, it's finally time. I'm not with you full time anymore,
Yeah, he
but
left me, guys. So I just want to put this out
I
there.
actually got fired. I got
He did not
fired.
get
I
fired
got
from Know
fired.
That.
I got
He
fired.
left me.
He said, yo, myself can't.
No,
Cardinal now, and I gotta delegate. I gotta get you out of there.
I appreciate you taking this time, man. The only reason why, I think to become a basketballist, right? Just so everybody knows, you got to really love this sport, right? And Ralph has those qualifications because he sees so much. And if you guys don't know, he does a lot of the videos that I have, and he actually provides a different insight and intel for me. And I'm like, I didn't even think about it like that or see it like that. So the way he sees the game is I appreciate it. It's very underrated. So I think Ralph is one of the videographers out there that know the game. He's up there. So hopefully he blows up doing stuff with Yes Network and Brooklyn and Yankees and stuff like that. But we'll see one day. Hopefully we got some NBA, WNBA players on the Know That roster, and
We got one coming up this draft.
you got
Sonia Citron,
Sonia
top 10.
Yeah,
Telling
man,
you.
they play today. But yeah, no, we wanted to get in front of a camera and kind of do something different and just speak on hoops. The culture's changed so much; it's actually mind blowing what's been going on. And we felt like we talked about it. We felt like the first place to start would be college. The college scene has changed with NIL, the transfer portal. Specifically with like top prospects and just basketball players in general trying to get to the college level, it's so difficult, right? Like it's a different ball game. And I think that, us speaking on it because we're so invested in it. I've been invested in it since playing, and then obviously now I'm on the coaching side, seeing players that I've helped develop on their journey and them at Division I, Division II, Division III levels, NAIA, even JUCOs. It's a different ball game. Like what have you seen since you've been seeing some of these kids grow up through this video? Like what have you seen right now in terms of just the scenery for college?
Yeah, I think before it was just trying to get to like the highest level you could possible. But now I think it's just getting to college. I think kids are getting confused on like, oh, I got to go play D1. Oh, I got to go play D2. Like, you don't. You just have to go to college because the way they're recruiting and the way they're bringing people in with NIL and with the transfer portal, they're not looking for high school kids a lot anymore. Like, if you're top 50, maybe top 100, like, you'll get a, okay, fair shake, but like, you got to wait in line. There's people that's gonna be there, and there's people that are gonna come back. Like Elliot Cadeau, for an example, he should have the keys to the ship right now. But RJ came back, Seth came back, and they're vets. I'm not gonna play Elliot over you. He's a great player. He came back and he's improving and he's playing how he should play. But if those two guys wasn't there, he'd be playing almost 40 minutes a night.
Yeah.
So how you're going into these conversations, into these rooms, is knowing that there's a D2 transfer from Belmont. There's a D1 transfer from Belmont or wherever the case, NAIA, doesn't matter. Like, these guys are coming in. So when you're going in, you got to know that, like, it's not a one and done. It's not, oh, I'm here and then if I don't like it, I'm transferring. Like, just stay down. Like, there's things coming. But you have to know that, okay, like, I know my place here. I know what's coming. If it's NIL or if it's the right fit, play style, whatever the case may be, just get to a college. Like, don't worry about D1, D2, D3, none of that. Like, you can go and play and kill and move up. Like all the people that's in D1 right now are showing you that. There's been like almost 50 plus D2 transfers, 30 plus NAIA. Like wherever you are, they're gonna come find you if you're hooping. And you have to be realistic too, because like if you're not hooping the way you think you're hooping, then like, you're like, oh, why is nobody coming to see me? Why is it, bro?
You're not as good as you
You're
think
not
you
as
are.
good as you think you are. And trust me, there's dudes at the D2 level that are still at D2 that can play D1, and vice versa. So
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic because before it was like when I was playing, and I'm not that old, guys, but
nah, he's old.
like 10 years ago.
Damn.
Shut up. The only way that I thought I could play professional basketball was because we didn't have NIL at the time, was I had to go D1. So that's why I ended up choosing the walk-on route and kind of going there. But if I can go back and do it, I could have played overseas just killing at the D3 level. Like that's the reality of it. Now it's just so competitive. It's insane. Like Drake not my boy Drake, but Drake the college. They have 4 Division II transfers, and I think they're off to a 6-1 start, I believe, or something like close to that. Even when we were talking about the Colorado UConn game. The center that was hurting them, he's an NAIA transfer. So, like, again, to what Ralph was saying, it's like it doesn't matter where you are. You have to go where you're wanted and the style of play. I think the style of play and feeling wanted and feeling needed is very important. Gonna bring up a NODAT player like I think Preston Fowler he committed to JMU, James Madison U. They've been doing really well, as a mid-major. And, we talked about it. We felt like he could have probably been a higher player, but at the same time, it's not about that anymore. It's about going to a place where they're going to value you, where they're going to play you and play you where you're going to be successful and play you with your game. Because after that, it's up to you. And if you sink or swim, that's because of either the lack of, studying and understanding what the coaching style is, what the school's like, or you flourish and then whatever happens after that happens after that. But I think it's, to your point, it's got to be a year by year thing. You have to be self-aware. Like you have to understand, like I got to go in and just get better and not worry about the name of everything. I think that's where basketball is kind of getting back to, where it's like you have to wait your turn.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be next year's, it's going to be crazy because now every school has 15, 13, 14, 15 scholarships now.
Right.
So now it's like we can offer a walk-on a scholarship, but then can they help, fund our NIL fund, or can they like kids that, everybody has a different background, but there's kids that, obviously have a little bit more funds and that don't need a scholarship, but they can get it and then they can get money on the back end or whatever it may be. There's like so much gray area with this and how the schools can get players, but going back to the whole thing here, it's just like understanding play style, understanding where you're going to kind of fit. And, what do you think about like Preston, JMU, even Badara going to Iowa, Sophie's going to Sacred Heart, like some of these athletes that you see and I've trained going to a school where it's fit, where they didn't have as many high, quote unquote, high major suitors that I thought would be. I mean, Iowa, I guess, is on that. It's a high major, but like, again, there's other players like Eva. She's going to St. Bonaventure's. Like, there's a lot of players that I've worked with that I think can go a little higher, but at the same time, it might not be about that.
Yeah, I think it's fit, like you said, and because of the landscape now, like if they were going to a blue blood or whatever, you're getting almost over recruited by your peers. Like you're going in with another top 50, top 25 guy, but then you also are getting over recruited by the transfers. Cause like Grant Nelson, he was the biggest transfer in the portal at the time. He went to Alabama. Like that messes up somebody that's coming in, like Diabate that was at Putnam. Those easily could have been his minutes, but now you're playing behind a guy, which is okay. Because if the guy's better than you, he's been in the college system, he knows how he's a good player. He's a good player. But it also it doesn't derail you, but it forces you to adapt. So going to a place where they're open with you and they're telling you, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we're bringing in. This is what we have. It's important, and you don't have to go to a blue blood to get noticed. You don't have to go to Power Five. It doesn't matter what school you're at. If you are playing, you're playing, and that's the most important part. I think getting on the court, because a lot of players are like, "Oh man, if I had the opportunity," blah, blah, but it's like you made the decision. So if you're not getting the play you want, like this, probably something that should have been discussed beforehand, or like whatever the case may be. And I do think it's a double-edged sword when it comes to transferring. I think some players feel that they need to transfer, and I think some players need to transfer. So, like, for example, there's a player who was somewhere, and there was 2 guys coming in. I felt like he should have stayed. It would have opened up his game. He would have had a year under his belt. The trust would have been there, but he decided to go somewhere else, and now it don't look as good. Grass not greener on the other side. I don't know who's in these convos. I don't know who's in their ears, but I feel like a lot of the decisions that kids are making are just misguided because they have the opportunity to. Just because you got the opportunity to do it doesn't mean that it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, and to your point, it's like this goes to education aspect. Like parents don't know.
Mhm.
Not all parents. I mean, let me take that back. Not all parents. Not every single parent that has kids that are at this level either played at the level or understand the landscape where they're not as in tune with what's going on.
And it's very broad. Like it's
Yeah.
it's very open. Like it's a hard thing to like
To
grasp.
grasp,
You
yeah.
need people, but you need the right people.
And that's the hardest part, is because now you have people that are like money hungry,
Mhm.
like in the circle, from, not saying everybody's like this, but a couple, like even some trainers, AAU coaches,
Mhm.
like just going to where the kid can make the most money, and they may get something on the back end, or, just like, hey, thank you here, like from the player, or whatever it may be. There's a lot of, it's crazy how basketball is business now, from
Yeah.
the high school level through obviously the pro level, but it's a business now, even middle school. And that's what I'm scared about moving forward with everything. It's like now we have 33 top 10 players, or like, oh, this kid's the next whatever, instead of actually at that level, elementary and early middle school, maybe like 7th grade, it should really be about developing young athletes, girls and boys, right? We shouldn't be worried about rankings. We shouldn't be worried about social media accolades. Like at the end of the day, like we just said, if you can hoop, they're going to find you, right?
Yeah.
You could be a late bloomer. Like, that's cool. There's a bunch of late bloomers. But having the patience and vision for it is the hardest part in today's society, with social media and everything, right?
Mhm.
And I think that if there's more awareness, and I would love to be able to have this message in this podcast that parents can just listen to, right? There's a lot of other really good basketball podcasts, but obviously we're recording this for the community that we're in, and we want to be able to share that message, because there's a lot of talent in Connecticut, in the tri-state area, that we're able to see on a weekend, month-end basis, and we just hope that there are the right people kind of giving them that message we're talking about. It's not about the name. It's about fit. It's about how fast can you get on the court now?
Right.
Right. It's because you can develop in practice.
Mm-hmm.
You can develop, but at the end of the day,
You got to go work on it. You got to show what you've been working on
yeah,
in the
like
game.
you got to be on the court.
And I think it's showing in the college game. Like, college has always been about like the seasoned players. Obviously, there's the cases that the freshmen are really good, but like college has always been like seasoned vets, 3-4 year guys like Drew Timme, like guys who have been there for a while that are usually the better players in the league. But I think it's also affecting the NBA now, because like a guy like Dalton Connect, who went 17th to the Lakers, is playing better than a lot of guys
The younger
ahead of
guys.
him, the younger guys, because he's a grown man. Like at the end of the day, he's a grown man. Like he went through a lot of bumps, a lot of roads. His
story,
path,
yep.
his path is like if you want to look at a path that like, oh, you don't have to go on a straight road to get somewhere, is Dalton Connect. Like his path was very here, here. And
Yeah.
now he's where he needs to be on a team that's one of the premier teams in the league. And he's hooping because he was ready, because he had all those bumps beforehand. A lot of the players, they're young. Oh, stuff's not going my way. I'm about to quit, or I'm about to move around, or nah, I don't like it here, whatever the case may be. Like you have to have that level of maturity, and I think that NBA teams are starting to realize it
I
because
hope so.
the older guys are coming in. Edie's another guy who looks good, and he's older. Like it's okay to go get that older guy, but there are cases. Jeremy McCain's playing very well. He's a younger guy, but I think his level of maturity in himself,
Yeah.
from his parents, from his brother, all the people around him are formulating that success for him, and then he's producing on that level as well. So there are cases. I'm not gonna say like, oh, none of the young guys are hooping, but
Yeah.
you see players in their third, fourth year start to figure it out.
Yeah, it takes
Like,
a while.
It takes a while. So like when you're in college, like don't think like, oh, I gotta come out right away. That's the only chance I'm gonna get. Like, no, you can wait a little bit. Like me and Steve were talking the other day. One of our favorite players to watch right now is John Broome
From
at
Auburn.
Auburn. He's hooping, and that's a 5th-year guy.
He's a 5th year. This is his first year there.
Nah. I think
second year. You said second year, right?
I think he's in his third.
Third year.
Yeah, he's
okay.
in his third.
But he was a transfer from
2 years from Morehead State. And then transferred over. This is his third year at Auburn, and he's playing lights out. I don't see a reason why an NBA team doesn't pick him up.
Because he's 6'10", 6'11", 240.
240. He shoots a three ball. He passes. He plays hard. He talks. He communicates. Like he does all the little things because he's an older guy. He gets it. He's been through the mud. He's been down, and he's never had a bad season. He's averaged almost 15 plus everywhere he's been at, over 25 minutes.
And nobody's talked about him.
And nobody's talking about him. They just won the Maui Invitational, and nobody's talking about him. I think there's examples and people set in place, and the NBA is shifting a little bit towards it. It's not fully there, obviously, because like you want a young guy, you want a prospect, you want to have a guy for a long time. But if you're talking about somebody that can come in and play, ready to go, like Jalen Wilson, who's on the Nets, older guy, came from Kansas. Like it's okay to have these type of players in your organization because when they're there, they've been through stuff already. So then when the trials and tribulations hit, there's no like, oh man, this is hard, whatever. They understand it. They understand it. But to say all that, I do want to talk about some of the freshmen that's been killing. I absolutely love Dylan Harper, and he's been bugging. I can't lie, he's been bugging.
I saw a stat. He's the only player in NCAA history, I guess, or the last 20 years that had 35 points back-to-back games.
It looks easy.
He's smooth. He sees the game. He moves at his pace. He plays with an amazing pace where it's like he's not rushed. And that's something as a trainer, like I try to help kids and players develop, because if you could play at your speed, not feel rushed, like the game slows down. When the game slows down, you can make better reads, you can score easily, and it's just easier. But that's also a very difficult thing to do on a day in, day out basis. But even with him, like Ace has been impressive. He's kind of struggling since he came back. Not struggling, let me not say that, but he hasn't been. He was hyped up so much in the media, literally probably like 3 weeks ago, and he's kind of died down a little bit, but he's still a talent. Obviously Cooper Flagg,
right,
is doing his thing. Who else? Boogie Flan, even though they lost last night, but he's been producing at a high level. He's actually has a lot more wiggle room than I anticipated as a freshman.
Me as well.
For
coming in with DJ as a second-year guard.
Yep.
Yeah, I same thing we're talking about, like where you're going. Like you're going to these blue busts. Sometimes people might come back. Like DJ wasn't expected to really go 2 years.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a one and done. So for him to come back and then now you're going, it's like they had that room for them to work together, which is awesome. But like, it doesn't always work out like that.
Right.
You might be coming into a situation where the fifth year guy is going to get more time than you. But I think, do you think that players like that should like decommit and show like, hey, like, okay, let me back up and see where my other options are, or do you think they should stick it out? Because I think it's a double edged sword. Like
You talking
you
about DJ
get
or Boogie?
Boogie,
Boogie?
like, because I obviously that's where he wanted to go. He wanted to go with Cal. That's what he wanted. But if it's not the same situation and you probably could go somewhere else and kill, do you do that? Because I think it gives them the, I don't want to say humble. I'm not gonna say he's not humble, but like, you experience taking a back seat. Is that the best route, or do you take a route like Fears at Oklahoma, where they're giving you the ball, you going, or Victorious Miller at LSU, they're giving you the ball, you going, you scoring, you doing pretty much whatever you want?
I think it all depends, and this is where the variables come into play. It depends on who the coach is, right? And this is why it's important, like, to have good people around you and like tell have that candid conversation. Be like, hey, like I need the real. Like tell the guy I need the real. Like you're John Calipari. You're gonna have all the top transfer trying to go to you because you have a resume. But at the same time with Calipari, his guards are dominating the NBA. So why wouldn't I go play for him? You know, that's why I say it's a little different.
Right.
It's the same thing on the women's side for UConn. It's like you're gonna sit as a 5-star number 3 player, except the girl who's killing is Savannah Strong. She's really killing as a freshman, but she's a 6'2" forward that can do it all. But then you have a couple of the other freshmen who are also killing the game, but they're coming off the bench. It's like situation, right? And knowing the coach, knowing the culture that is being built there. You can't just jump into things or decommit and because you're afraid of not playing, right? Because you don't know what injuries.
Right.
You may outperform the transfer. That's what happened with me. Like I outworked scholarship guys. I outworked guys that were getting more minutes. Right. It's just the nature of the game. Like you have to produce, right. And that's the scary part. But again, when your time is called, you got to be ready, no matter what. Even if you're starting or you're coming off the bench, like you just have to be ready. And that's why to going back to the decommitment part, it's got to be. It's a case-by-case scenario, but it's really depending on how comfortable you're talking with a coach, having them tell you, this is the vision. We think you're going to play. We think, depending on how hard you work and how whatever happens, and it will go from there. We'll adjust from there. But understanding there's going to be ups and downs. And it's really hard, no matter what level of college basketball, to be consistent. If you're consistent, you'll move up.
Do you think some of these coaches are selling dreams?
Yes.
So
Sorry.
How do you delegate between it? Like, how do you tell the difference? Like, how do I know when someone's blowing smoke up my ass or someone's telling me the real?
Because you have to watch the game. That's the issue. Like, I think some people just think it's going to be all because if you think about AAU and how people are on the men's and women's side, you have people that are blowing smoke up people's asses because, they're killing it. They're just going to kill it the next level. Wrong. It's completely wrong. If anything, if you've seen women's NCAA basketball, if you watch college basketball in general this year, it's been the most entertaining basketball we've seen in years. Overtime games, double overtime games, game winners, close games. Like, it's because the level of talent is up. And more people are understanding, like, college is older now. You got fifth-year transfers on both sides. You got players that killed it at the mid-major level go up. Now they're running teams, right? Like on the high major level, and they're still killing it. Like it's just insane to see where the game's going. And again, this goes back to having good people in your corner, and you got to really sense and understand, like, all right, if a coach is telling me I'm gonna come in and get the green light, like, that's bullshit off rip. If he's saying I have a chance to earn playing time, all right, that's doable, right? Like, okay, I can earn it. I gotta really put in the work. But in terms of them, the sell is going to be to the parents or guardians, whoever's involved. That's going to be where the parents have to be a little bit aware and understand what's going on in the day and age with what's going on with everything. If they have that understanding, like, all right, it's not supposed to be easy for my son or my daughter. And, is this person a good person? Let me talk to the other parents. Let me talk to the other players as a parent and see what it is on a day. And obviously the players are supposed to help, but you want to give the real. If I'm a head coach, I'm like, yo, no, give them the real. Tell them how I am, because I don't want them to come here and just want to leave after 1 year.
Right.
That's what it is. Like, if I can recruit, I can keep talent, I can develop talent, that's a great sign. And I'm sending players to play NBA, WNBA. Beautiful. Like, Notre Dame, in my opinion, is the best team in America when they're healthy. Like, once they get everybody back, they're so deep. But again, as a young player, Kate Koval's there, but she's a special player because she's 6'5" post player. Like, she can play right away. And with injuries, she probably wouldn't have been playing if Liz, the girl, I forgot her name, she was an all Big East Marquette transfer. Then you got Maddie Westfeld and then Watson, all hurt. She wouldn't have been touching the court right now, but she's getting invaluable minutes because she knew either way, if I go here, I'm going to develop and I'm going to still be good. Just happened, those three got injured. Now you're starting as a freshman.
And then not only getting those minutes, but actually doing something with the minutes.
Exactly. She's freaking, I saw she had a 20 rebound, 10-point game. Like, yes, she's an anomaly because she's really skilled and she's tall. But the thing is, it's the point of, before even going into that, she understood I would have had to wait my turn. Right. Whether it's a year, I think a year max she would have had to wait. But that's the conversation they probably had, they were aware of, and they made the decision. Now it's paid off. Now she's just got to keep getting better. Now on a lower level, right, D2, D3, it's a little different, obviously. Just thinking about one of the players I train, and she plays with a player who takes a lot of shots. And she's a role player right now, which is cool. But I texted her just to check in with her. I'm just like, hey, you got to just take more chances. Because at the end of the day, if you mess up, they'll take you out. It's cool, right? And rotate players. But if you start hooping, now that adds another dynamic and weapon for your coach. But if you don't do that stuff, you're going to just wonder, like, what if, right? And she knew going into that, like, that player was there. So, but she felt like she can contribute and then they could put something special together. Like, so again, it's all about dynamics. It's all about team build, who's on the team. Also, different people, different characteristics, different characters. Being able to mesh well with people. Right. That's also a big thing. So there's a million little things when making the decision like that. Should I transfer? Should I not? Should I commit to the school? Should I decommit? All these things that I'm bringing up, I just gave you guys like 2 examples, but like, it's very important that everybody in your circle, including yourself, you're self-aware. Like we talked about it. Sorry. I think the issue with a lot of players, they're delusional.
Very.
They think they're better than what they are.
Yeah.
And whether it's from the parents, whether it's from coaches, whether it's from social media, whatever it is, the game is the most competitive it's been. It's harder to do anything. To play college basketball now is almost, I thought I was going to be able to send kids at least Division III. They're having a tough time getting a coach to commit to them. Right? And it's not that they're bad players. It's just that's how competitive it is now. And Filet, Filet was on Jesse. He made a 4-minute video last night talking about playing. He was a late bloomer.
Right.
He went to UB. I played him when I was at Fairfield. Super talented, could score the hell out of the ball. But he wouldn't have got that opportunity if he went to D1 and sat. He said he didn't want to sit. Again, so you have to be aware of what you want. You got to be aware of where you're at and be real. I'm going to bring up another player, Jacob. and he's working his tail off right now at Iona. You know, I check on him to see where his mental is, and it's a grind. Yeah. They have 16 new players at Iona this year.
Nuts.
Really think of, like, this is what we're talking about. Like, you got to understand the situation. And he's a forward.
That's a whole new team. Like, that's not just like 1 or 2 players coming in. That's 16 guys, regardless of position, that you have to outwork, out hustle, outsmart. Like you like, it is a team game, but like we're all individuals at the end of the day, and like we all have our own path. So like if you have a path that you have in mind, you got to outwork everybody, even your teammates. Now, obviously, camaraderie, you got to be together and be able to play, but you have to be able to separate yourself from everybody else, because if your goal is something and it's he's taking all the shots, or they don't play me. Nah, you have to figure out how you can be yourself and play your game within everything else. It's not saying like take all the shots, be a ball hog, be a bad team. It's not that. It's just being yourself within everybody else. It's okay. Don't dim your light. Like, go play, go hoop, show them why you're there, because you're there for a reason. It's not like, oh, they just picked you up like, oh, okay, bro, yeah, pull up. Like, no, like, you're there too. So you need to play your game the same way they're playing their game, because they don't know. They can only play basketball the way they know how to play basketball. Same thing with you. So wherever you are, it's not just Jacob, it's not just anybody else. Literally just play. Just play. I think like they're overthinking stuff too much, like you said, with like social media, this and that. Once you get on that court, once you get in practice, just play. Just play. Play your game. They're going to give you tips. They're going to give you constructive criticism, but just play. It's too many times that like I'm watching people just like thinking. Like, there's nothing to think about. You've been playing this. A lot of people have been playing the game since like 8. You damn near 20. Just play. Yeah. It's okay. Like, you're going to mess up. You're going to do things right. You're going to do things that people are going to wonder if you've ever played basketball before. But, like, that's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Just play.
And I think, to you, what you just brought up, I want to say it before I lose the train of thought. It's just being able to separate being a good teammate, right, and your individual goals. I think that's the hardest part. Like, you're watching guys take a lot of shots or girls turning the ball over, and you're sitting there on the bench. Like, you have to learn how to be a good teammate. I think that's very valuable. And that's the part where that's the humbling aspect, where you got to know. I think, again, everybody goes through their journey, and I think I did what I did, obviously, to become either a coach or a trainer, player development coach. I literally had to sit on the bench, clap every game, and like figure out a way, how can I impact the game? How can I impact the team from the bench? And that was just me cheering them all. Yo, good shot. Yo, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that turnover in the timeout. Like, yo, knowing the scouting report, right? Like, there's always ways to kind of work your way in there and being in the air. And then you just, if you're not playing, you got to just work, right? So I think, again, just understanding there is a level of selfishness, but it has to take a back seat at times to the team. But understanding, like, yeah, you should be selfish because you want to help the team win, if that makes sense. Like, you know, your play can help the team win. And I think that's the biggest thing taken from this. Like, you got to be able to separate the two and then still play basketball, but understand that. But
and don't knock the overseas route. Don't knock like going down to a JUCO or whatever. Like, basketball is basketball at the end of the day, and like overseas is professional. So, like, I know like people, oh, the NBA. No, like, there's some overseas guys that are well ahead of NBA players, like, and can play in the NBA, but they're playing overseas because they're still playing professional. So if your goal is to play professional, like, do what you have to do in order to get there. That's like that overseas at NBA are professional sports. So that if that's your goal, that's your goal. So don't, like, if you fall short of something there's something that you're going for, like if it's NBA, you get to overseas, like, that's not really falling short. You're still a pro.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to be honest, and didn't mean to cut you off, like, college is pro basketball now. It's not, like,
especially with NIL
at the Division I level.
Yeah.
Let me take that back. The Division I level is pro basketball.
So, all right. I'm an NBA team, right?
Uh-huh.
Top 3 picks. What would they be? From
Now
right
you
now,
got
from what you're
right.
seeing. It don't matter. I'm talking don't matter of fit, nothing. Top 3 teams, best available. What am I picking?
You gotta go Cooper. I think you have to. I'm taking Cooper number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would say Dylan Harper 2. Number 3, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I like Ace's ability to score at 6'8", 6'9". Like, you haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
Like, off the dribble stuff. Probably those 3. Top 3, I think. What about you?
I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go Dylan 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because I really do like the way how polished his game looks. Like, we knew he was gonna be good.
Yeah.
But like the way it looks easy, I think, and then he's a bigger guard. I love the Cade Cunningham comparison. You know, that's the prototypical guard in the NBA right now. And I think a lot of teams do need guards. And he'll be able to create not only for himself, but for everybody else. Cooper, I think, is more of a plug-and-play guy that needs to be in a spot that has some talent. So I'll go Dylan 1, Coop 2, but then Ace, I don't know if I could play Ace 3. I think I might have to go Torre, what was his name? The French kid?
The French from
Yeah.
overseas?
I think so, right? Is that his name?
I think I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Only because I know that somebody's gonna want to, like, that French connection.
Yo,
they're gonna want to. I don't know what it is with France. I don't know what's going on.
That's because they've been hooping. Like, again,
I don't know what's going on, but everybody love that.
We're gonna talk about that in another episode. Just the culture, AAU culture, compared to overseas culture, and how they develop players. Because right now the trend is, I mean, France has been doing a really good job. They
pushing out pros.
Yeah, they're pushing out pros. Damn near number 2 they're right behind the U.S. now. You know, it wasn't an easy game for the U.S.
It wasn't.
So, again, there's so much to talk about with basketball. Even WNBA, like, you know, you got to go Paige number 1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The way Olivia Miles on Notre Dame's been playing, you know, I would look at her at number 2. And the girl, if Juju was, I would have said Juju was top 3, but you might have to take the girl Ifan from USC at 3. Even though I would take I'm being biased. I'd take Sonya at number 3, but that's me.
Man, I'm being biased. I'm taking Sonya number 1. Sonya number 1. I mean, Paige, and then you can take whoever else after that. Sonya number 1. She do it all. She do it all.
Really
Plays
does.
defense,
like,
shoots threes, run the floor,
can
handle the ball.
Like,
what don't you want?
Again, and that's what I'm saying. At the NBA level, WNBA level, it's a player specialist league.
Absolutely.
Right? So, again, with college, that's where it's going as well. Like, not everyone's going to have that freedom.
Yeah.
So, again, after all this is said and done, like, players, if you're listening to this, make sure you master some skills, whether it's handling the ball, decision-making, or being the best shape of your life. Like, that's underrated too. Physicality, we're going to talk about that in another episode, but just do the research in general. Study the game, watch basketball. If you haven't been to a D1, D2, D3 game, go. Parents, you too. So you can see what's going on in this. Oh, no, my kid's going to go D1. No, shut up. Go do the research. You don't even know the level. You really don't. Do the research. Listen, be humble. Humble yourself by go watching the D3 game. Watch how shocked you'd be.
And we're going to end it on that, man.
So, Basketballists, episode 45. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.